one or well in studio, but never through phone like
This is
Instagram or
fantastic.
YouTube Live. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, so excited that we finally got to talk about Parapod and what you're going to be doing at
Sure.
Parapod. But first, for my audience, since we're streaming live to my page on YouTube, tell them exactly who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I am Sheena Metal, and I'm a psychic medium and a healer, and I'm an interfaith minister. I've been a talk radio host coming out of Los Angeles for 28 and a half years, and I'm a creative artist, performing artist. Um, I grew up in a haunted house, so I'm a paranormal
Mm.
survivor. That's how it all started for me. My mom had many paranormal experiences. She had a hat man that followed her, and she
Oh
had
wow.
many ufology experiences as a young person. So I sort of grew up with it. Mom saw an off-world creature in our laundry room when I was one. I was sitting on the dryer, so I guess that was my first UFO encounter. Um, so it's just kind of followed me my whole life. And the talk that I'm giving at Parapod is "Are You Haunted?" And it's really about just that. Have you had a paranormal experience? Have you had a uh, UFO encounter? Have you had a spiritual awakening
Hmm.
experience, revelation, and how that changes you? Because once one of those things happens to you, Tony, and it can be any of those things or all of those things, you are forever sort of spiritually marked by it, and you're
Right.
never quite the same. And it tends, and if it's happened to you once, the good odds are it'll happen to you again, and it can be in a whole different realm, right? If you grew up in a haunted house, you're more likely to have a UFO encounter. And I'm not sure how that all works, but that just seems to be how it works. So when I was 23, I was in an auto accident, a freeway accident. And I had a near death experience. And that was when it really kicked it up for me, because then I definitely became haunted. I started seeing black shapes out of the corners of my eyes. And then my whole life just became a haunted hayride since then. So
Well,
that's kind of what it's about, and how you deal with those things when it happens to you, how you deal with that change in your life, right?
I totally agree. And by the way, Renee Cruz is in one of the chat room. So Renee, thank you for always supporting me.
I
And she
Renee.
recognized you from KGRA, I think is
Oh,
what she
nice.
said.
Yes, I just finished my show there. Hi, Renee. I hope to meet you at Parapod.
I Renee, you need to get your tickets. Come see
Exactly.
us, Sheena, and all of us. But I wanted to kind of go down the rundown. I don't want to make this a definitely just a promo for Parapod, but I think like what you said is every event when you touch on the other side, as we say, near death, abduction, Bigfoot, ghost, it does all somehow change your persona, your outlook on life, and I feel like there's a lot of people that have become very creative,
Mm,
maybe that weren't before, or even more than you were before an incident or a connection or whatever you want to call it. Um, you know,
absolutely.
yeah, and so that's why I think Parapod, that what we're doing is bringing all paranormal together, where it's
Mhm.
very unusual to do that. Yeah, of course, Tony would be the one that would try to bring the whole paranormal genre under one umbrella. But I
For you,
think,
my friend.
but I think it's important. I really think
I do
it's
too.
important that we, bring our stories and our experiences together under one roof and show that we're a strong community. We're a big community of people that have had something change us. If it's even like when my mother passed away, 2 weeks before she passed away, she saw her mother come to her before she passed away, and seeing other loved ones in her room. Even maybe I didn't experience it, but her telling me those experience really made me look at death, not life, but death differently.
Absolutely. Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and so what Sheena's going to be doing at Parapod, we're starting off at Mentryville, which is a ghost.
Right.
We say ghost town. It's a town that's been abandoned, but it's now owned by the state of California. Mr. Mentry was the first person to bring oil wells to the western coast, And so he built this town. It was family and friends. And so his house still stands. They call it the mansion because back then that would have been a
The
mansion.
mansion.
Yeah, and they still have a schoolhouse there, the original schoolhouse, and a barn and some other things. So we're going to do daytime and nighttime tours of both the mansion and the schoolhouse, and Sheena's going to be leading the way during the daytime.
Sure.
And so I'm excited that you're going to be there to
I
start
am too.
off the Parapod Festival. And then at night, of course, Patty Negri and then Ben Hansen is going to be there. Ben Hansen's going to be doing a stargazing. He's bringing his big monitor, his high tech telescopes, and he's going to do really like a demonstration of what's going to happen or what we see. Because he said people always say, "Oh, that's UFO, UFO, UFO." He goes, but sometimes it's not. It's a plane
Oh,
or just a star. So he's going to explain what to look for when we look for UFOs. So when you approach something like this, even if it's daytime, ghosts don't really care daytime, nighttime.
I know the difference.
They're there. How do you approach going into something like this where people have lived and
Right.
children, and yeah, how do you approach that?
I always go in with love. I think you always have to go
Oh,
in with love, because you're going into a place where human beings lived and had emotions, right?
right.
So, um, you're in somebody's home. I think to go in someplace and be like, "I'm gonna kick your butt,
Right.
filthy ghost." I just think that's such an ugly way to be. I
Right.
think the best way to get a paranormal encounter out of a place is to go in with love and let them know you're there to find out what they have to tell you and to interact with them and to learn about the history of the place from them and learn about how um, they lived, how they died, why they're still there, why of
Mhm.
all the places they could visit, they visit that place. I just think that's the best way to get um, communication rolling with spirits, and also to directly talk to them. Who are the
Mhm.
people that live there? What do they have to tell you? And what objects in the house could be haunted? Because let me tell you, there's some haunted stuff. Um,
Oh,
I
I'm
I
sure.
I live. I'm living right now in my hometown of Huntington Beach, California, and there's a historic mansion type house here called the Newland House, and it's one of those places that when my mom was in the embroidery guild, they had Victorian teas there. It's like that kind of place, but it's
Right.
completely haunted. And not only it haunted, but it has amassed this collection of dolls, and every
Oh,
one
wow.
of them is haunted. So you have to go and address sometimes the individual haunted things as well, because sometimes spirits decide to stay inside an object and sometimes they float freely. So I think you go in with an open mind, Tony. You go in the open heart with
Yeah.
no expectations of what you're going to find there. And then you just let the place talk to you. You let the spirits talk to you. Sometimes people go into a place and they only want to find one thing. Well,
Right.
that's like you go into Macy's because you just want one thing. Well, if they
Right.
don't have that thing, then you leave empty handed. But if you
Right.
go in saying, "Hey, I'd like to find some nice shoes today," you
Right.
probably find something. So I think
Yeah.
you can't have expectations for what you're going to find in a place. You can't rely too much on what somebody else said is there. So you're going just to look for that thing. And you certainly can't go wanting to war with spirits because most of them will just ignore you. We see in a lot of the
Right.
paranormal TV shows that the spirits will come out and throw you down the stairs if you
Right.
antagonize them. The truth is, usually if you antagonize them, they'll just hide in the walls and they won't have anything to do with you.
Right.
So if you want them to come out, coax them out. And and wear a lot of crystals. I think having crystals on you is always a wonderful way to get spirits to come out and play with you.
And I think, as we know, when Halloween comes around, these haunted houses around here, well, they're not really haunted houses, but some of them are, like the Queen
Yeah.
Mary. But there are these, like at Six Flags, and they say haunted this, haunted that, and people will flock to these things. But when they say, "Oh, this is a real haunted house," they're like, "Oh, I don't know if I've heard this." I'm like,
Right.
"I This is fun, but I don't know if I want to go into a real one." Honestly, like you said, ghosts and spirits, they could be with you anywhere. I mean,
Yes, and
any,
art.
yeah. And so I think, like Sheena said, just approach and have a good time. Come, you're with Sheena Metal and Patty Negri.
Yeah,
They know how to present and how to
sure.
approach spirits. And I think that's really, it's like a Ouija board. If you really don't know how to approach something, maybe you should get somebody that really does know how to approach it.
Right.
And
Well,
and
and I
I,
also think not necessary, but I also think it's nice that Patty and I are friends
oh yeah,
because
for
then
sure, for
the
sure.
cord is kind of flowing through the day, right? The
Right.
spirits are comfortable with me, then they're going to be comfortable with her. We're comfortable with each other. I mean, I
Hmm.
just think that that makes for kind of a nice family day. And especially
Yeah.
because we're going to be investigating a place that was home to families.
Yeah.
So I think that will be an appealing thing. And I know that Patty also investigates from a very positive perspective.
Yeah.
And I'll bring out my rods and we'll see what they say, and we'll talk to some spirits, and I'll bring some pendulums and we'll see what they say, and
I love
we'll do all the normal stuff. But you do it with love, and you catch more flies with honey. Our mamas used to say,
right.
and it's that's very much true, I think, with spirits. They want to communicate with you, but they want to know that they're not going to be abused. Or and also, if you're only focusing on the negative, Tony, then what you're getting is the negative spirits, and you don't
Right.
want nobody wants that, because that's just nasty.
Well, I mean, that's like anybody. If somebody that's negative around you, you just
Yeah.
really don't want to be around them that often. So one thing I did get a chance during the day, not at night, to go through the mansion when I first went went through it to just make sure this is where I want to hold this opening ceremony of Parapod. Um, there are two rooms that really stood out to me:
Mhm.
the kids' room,
Okay.
and then and they're both upstairs. And the upstairs is only for the VIP, just so you know. So if you want
Okay.
to go upstairs, you have to be VIP. But the kids' room really made my hair stand on end. I don't not for sure why, it just that's what happened. And then there's another room as you open the door, there's a no furniture but one rocking chair in the corner.
Oh, because that
And it's
doesn't
really
say creepy.
creepy. And they call it
Hmm.
Aunt something, like Aunt May or something like that. But
Right.
it really was just like, oh, okay, that kind
Right.
of took me off
Because
guard.
Aunt May was not right in the head, so they
Right.
put her in that room. I mean, that's
So
right. That's
yeah.
the house I was talking about in Huntington has a room with a child that died very slowly from tuberculosis. So it was kind of like, back in the day, we stuffed our sick people away in a room
Right.
because we
Yeah.
were scared, embarrassed, worried about them.
Yeah.
Those rooms, I think, hold so much sadness. It's like mental asylums, right,
Yeah.
Tony? They
Yeah.
hold so much stuff because of all the sadness and the sorrow. And I would also imagine that child's room probably has some nasty dolls.
Well, there's no dolls in there maybe at one time because it's
Yeah.
empty. It's an empty house other than the kitchen has a stove and that one room upstairs has the bathroom has a tub, the original tub and the sink, and then there's a one chair in the corner, and that's really much it. But I don't know if they left it there for that reason, or
Oh
if
yeah.
they just didn't feel right about taking it out. So
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
surprised there's no furniture because that normally holds a lot of creepiness.
yeah, yeah. And I think there was a train of thought I was going for, but oh, so when I did ask the ranger when I went through there, I said, "Hey, is this really haunted?" Because he goes there a lot, and he kind of smiled and he goes, "I can't really say, but just know that I have seen things." So because I don't think they want to like say, "Yeah, this is a haunted house." But should we actually call it a haunted house? I mean, because it really kind of adds a negative kind of to me an undertone to it. Do you
Sure.
feel like there should be something called differently than a haunted? Because it just feels so negative sometimes.
No, I think haunted house is okay. I mean, I think it's a great way to draw in folks that
Of
have had
course.
the Six Flags experience or the Not
Right.
Scary Farm that want
Right.
to learn about what the real thing is. I mean, I think I would use the word active. It's an active house,
There we go.
spiritually active. but haunted's okay too. I mean, that's
I
why
mean,
my
for
my
me.
talk is called "Are You Haunted?" Right? It's not called "Are You Spiritually Active?"
Right,
Because
right.
you do sort of get marked by a paranormal experience. And then what do you do with it? You're a different
Yeah,
person after that. The next time, you know what I mean? A person who is haunted, right? A person who's had like grown up in a haunted house has
right.
probably more chance if they spend the night on the Queen Mary, they're going to have a lot of activity than somebody who didn't.
Mhm, mhm.
So it opens up a sort of part of you that never leaves. And I think a lot of people don't understand what that is, and they're looking to find a way to make peace with it.
And, so Friday is, like I said, that's our opening ceremony, but Saturday is like a collection of some of the top speakers in their field.
Mhm.
Linda Moult Howe, ufology, we're giving her the Media Legend Award, so well deserved. 50, almost 50 years of research and study and winning
Wow.
awards and Emmy and Peabody and pretty much everything you can think of. Billy Carson's flying in from Miami, getting the Pioneer Award for really breaking the glass ceiling for actually people of color
Mhm.
to kind of get into this field because there really is not a lot of people of color, especially men. It's
Mhm.
mostly an old white man, which is fine, but it's like, but it's great to really have a representation from all different cultures, and but also we have Jimmy Church and you, Patty Negri, Shar Margolis. We have Billy or Ronnie LeBlanc, who is from Expedition Bigfoot. So Bigfoot's going to be represented. We
Nice.
have Ben Hansen, of
Sure.
Normal Files. So, I mean, and Ernie LaPont. You say you know Ernie, right? Ernie,
I know
right?
yeah, Ernie and Ron James I know.
Yeah, and Ron James is going to be from
From
MUFON.
MUFON. Sure.
I mean, I couldn't ask for my first time around. I could not ask for a better speaker
Yeah.
lineup
Yeah.
than the people that I have coming. And then the top it all, we have an award ceremony at night to finally celebrate and honor content creators and podcasters that
Beautiful.
like we've been doing this a long time with podcasting,
Mhm.
and you've been on air even longer than that, but podcasters sometimes don't get the recognition that they deserve.
I agree.
um I've put out almost 900 episodes, just truth be told alone. You've done thousands
So
too.
many,
I mean,
yeah. I've been doing
yeah,
my playground show for 13 years,
yeah,
and I also do a lot of paranormal stuff on my regular show that's now at KGRA, that was a different
yeah,
place for a long time. And I mean, I've probably done thousands of
yeah,
paranormal, spiritual, and UFO topics because it's what I love. They're all
yeah.
communities I'm part of, and I love it.
And but that's what we love, and what we put out there is done with work
Yeah.
and thought
Yeah.
and connections and community building. And we, a lot of times, like I said, I'm not eligible, so I don't get any awards, but
Right.
people that have really put the time, energy, and effort out there out of love needs to be recognized. And like I said, nothing wrong with recognizing people like you know uh, Giorgio Tsoukalos and people that are on television and
Sure.
authors,
Right.
which is well deserved because they, you know, their overnight success was not starting with the TV show. It's they went way back before that, but it was time for us to really put some effort back into recognizing everyone.
Right.
And so we're having a big celebration at night, giving out awards to podcasters, and but during the day, like I said, Sheen is going to be talking about Are You Haunted, and
Right.
then doing karaoke at night, and where we're
Karaoke.
turning the tables on the audience and say, it's your time to tell us about
Yeah.
your
Sure.
experience,
Yep. Exactly. Yes.
which is again rare that people get to tell their stories. Because how many times you've been at a party or on the street and you're like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I talk about paranormal stuff. Oh my god, I saw a UFO
Oh,
once, or
all the time.
all
Everybody
the
has
time,
their stories. Sure.
all
Yeah.
the time. And so now people get to go up on stage. So Are You Haunted? What is that going to consist of? How's that going to take place?
Well, it's going to be very interactive. I like all my talks to be very interactive. So I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that I experienced in all of those realms as
Right.
a young person and as an adult, and maybe last week. and living in a very haunted house in Baltimore, outside of Baltimore when I was little.
Yep.
Then moving to this house, which is on an Indian burial ground. So I do everything I can here to keep this house very warded because I don't want to have paranormal activity in my home. Um, what it's like to have those encounters, to live beyond them, to accept them for what they are, to
Mhm.
choose to find places in your life where you can be safe from it because it's not
Right.
good to constantly be experiencing things in your own home. People have trouble sleeping. We'll talk a little bit about what the psychologists call sleep paralysis that we know are visitation, and maybe it's going to be like a mini karaoke where
Hey.
I'm going to ask people that are in the talk, like, to talk about their stories, and we're going to work through a lot of stuff. It's
Love
going
it.
I think people will leave feeling happier and more confident and more secure and more excited about the things that have happened to them, and less fearful, which is really my goal. And then, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to be a lifelong um survivor of paranormal, a thriver of paranormal? Do you want to write about it, share it with the
Right.
world? Do you want to become a spiritual practitioner? How is this going to affect your life? And welcome to the club of people who are haunted.
Right. Well, I love it. And for the people out there that are watching and people on Sheena's channel, please go get your tickets, parapodfestival.com.
Thank you.
And when you buy the tickets, you can type in the promo code
Nice.
Sheena10. So Sheena10, you'll get 10% off of all tickets. So
Love
for
it.
35 bucks, that's $3.50 off. Hey, you can spend all day. You have meditation in the garden, sound bath in the garden. Go see Sheena. Go see the psychic investigation. All these things are included, except Friday is a separate charge, 25 bucks. I mean, you can't beat that. And then the VIP is 175, get 1750 off. That's almost what, less than 160 bucks for 2 full days. That's including the reception, that's including the ceremony, every talk you can want to go to. You can't beat it. So please come and join us. And I hope you guys have a great time and come back every year.
I love that. I will also have a table in the lobby, so come and see
Yes.
me. And I'll have some charged and blessed and cleansed crystals there for sale, and maybe some sage and Palo Santo and stuff like that. And even if you want to come book a little mini reading with me, I will be available throughout the weekend for that. So I just want to get to know some new folks. I'm excited. I thank you for the opportunity, my friend. I'm so excited to be with you and also with all these wonderfully talented speakers.
Well, and like I said, I top it off. The cherry was adding Sheena to the mix. So,
Yay.
uh, well, thank you everybody for tuning in for our first YouTube
Yeah.
live.
I,
Yeah, I
yeah.
love this. I love it. May have to do some more of this stuff. But
I love
we're,
that. Yeah.
all right, take care. Go to
Thank
parapodfestival.com and get your tickets. Sheena 10% off.
I can't wait to
Until
see you
next
all
time.
there. Take care.
Bye bye.